everybody, and welcome back to the channel. For those who do not know me, my name is Evan Andrews, and here on my channel we are talking everything creative from filmmaking, photography, and graphic design. So first time here on this channel, I thank you for being here with me today, and I want you to go hit the subscribe button now. Make sure you hit the notification bell, get all the updates for when I release every Friday at 8 a.m. So last week, if you guys did not check out my video on logo design and how you can really simply and easily kind of create an idea for your new brand or business, go watch that up here right now. Then come back and watch this video where I'm gonna show you a little bit of some past logos that I've done and kind of talk a little bit about why I did and why I made these. This video is just sort of to outline some of my past work and show you guys how I conceptualize for clients that approach me looking for logos. So we're gonna jump into the computer real quick, and I'm gonna go over about 5 or 6 different logos that I've done for clients in the past. And again, like I said, explain why I did some things and what I was thinking when I created these. So we're jumping to the computer right now. Alrighty then, guys, so we are in the computer now, and we are going to go over some previous logos that I have done in the past. Now these are going to range from just about the last decade or so. Probably the earliest one I would say is probably about 2011, 2012-ish. And yeah, so let's just jump right on into it. So the first one that I have here is for I believe this was a music project called Southern Riot. I believe it was a dubstep or EDM group or label or something like that. And this one, they did not really have anything particular that they were looking for. When I was going about it, I think this was my style. I was in the graffiti kind of grunge style at this point of my career, and I found a font that I thought was kind of interesting and had some cool shapes and contours to it. And all I really did for this one to see how I could fuse the S and the R together and kind of create like a mark for their branding. So I apologize, I don't know off the top of my head what font this is, but I think it really came out cool. It has a signature style feel to it, and I really liked the R for the Riot. I think it has a great curvature and shape to it, and that was really all it was for this. Now I didn't do full-on branding, I just did a logo mark for them, and I don't have any other subtext or anything that goes with it, but overall I think that this was a pretty good logo that I did early on in my career of logo design. So moving on, this one I did about a year or so ago. And this was for a good friend of mine who was starting a nutritional and fitness company. His last name was Goodwin. I went with a kind of double G and X to represent the buy. What was cool about when I was playing around with it, the G, when I flipped to the second one and put them in between the X, it kind of looked like muscle arms, or, you know, posing like a flex. And I think that really came out really cool as far as for the overall logo. As you can see for this one, I used full-on branding and gave him some contrasting, simplified text that went well with the logo mark that I made for his company. The red and black was what he was trying to identify with in his company, and overall, I think everything came out really cool. The X was manipulated a little bit more along with the G's, how they were stretched from their original text. But overall, at the very end of it, I think it came out really cool with, like I said, the posing of the flex shape. So moving on, this was another business logo that I did for a local stone and gravel company here in Katy, Texas. They wanted to upgrade their logo a few months ago when I started working with them and doing social media content. Their previous logo was just like a silhouette of a rock, which you really couldn't even tell it was a rock, and it just said Katy Stone and Gravel on the inside of it, kind of stacked on 3 different lines. And while it wasn't, I guess, terrible, it wasn't anything to look at really. And so this is what I came up with for them. I did a very bold and contrasting text font with a kind of gemstone style symbol fitting in between the K and the A. I went ahead and changed and gave them some color of kind of like a forest green with some emerald colors in it as well. I think it really helps pop and definitely is contrast what they were doing before with just black and white. Overall, this was a very simple logo to do, but it came out very professional looking, and I definitely think it helps take their branding to another level in comparison to what they were utilizing in the years past. So next, moving on, we have a logo that I did for a clothing company called Tilted Dreams. This was a fairly simple process logo. The client didn't have a huge handle on what they really wanted. They just gave me some parameters that they thought their brand was going to turn into. So I kind of did a few different mock-ups. We probably went through, I think, like 3 or 4 different style designs before we landed on this one. And it really started with the half moon shape and the T, which the T and the half moon shape when combined kind of makes a D, and so the Tilted Dreams kind of became the logo mark for that. I thought the text font on here could be a little bit more hand-drawn, scratchy to kind of go with the texture of what I did in the mark for the logo. But overall, I think it came out really well. It's actually one of my favorites that I've done in a while. This one I probably did about a year or 2 ago as well, and I put it in my portfolio and everything, as I think it came out really well. And I think it works really well with the mark being by itself, or if we were to just type out the font. It's definitely recognizable, and you would definitely remember it if you saw it more than just a few times. So overall, I think this one worked really well. It works really well with a dark background or a light background, and you know, I could not be more happy with the outcome of this logo for Tilted Dreams. Next, moving on, we have the logo for Alleged Agenda. Now, for those that have been following me for the past 5, 6, 10 years or so, they will know that Alleged Agenda was the clothing brand that I started back in 2016. So the idea for Alleged Agenda started when I was working for Vans in the mall. Working at Vans and working around clothes and shoes and style like that, it really made me want to kind of come up with my own thing. And one day I just kind of came up with the name. I went home that night and started playing around with logos. The logo, it took me about 3 or 4 days to actually conceptualize because I had so many different ranges of what I was looking to do. But I really first just found a font that I liked. I liked the shapes of the I and the A. I started playing around with that. And before I landed on its final, it had a few variations of this. There was not this long stretched out a horizontal line, which also kind of creates a cross if you look at it. And I thought the cross played into the brand itself, as it's not a religious thing, but it was meant to make people think about symbols that we see in our culture and how these symbols can kind of manipulate how we think, how we feel. And that's really what I wanted this logo to do, is I wanted it to make you think about, what do you think that means? That was really the whole idea behind my brand there. So after, like I said, after about a week or so, I finally landed on this as my branding and logo for the company. And overall, I love it. I think it's one of the coolest logos that I've ever designed. It definitely, to me, stands out and is very recognizable. So overall, still one of my favorite logos that I've designed today. And final logo of this video today is going to be one that I did for my wife's YouTube channel that she started to do about last year. Her video channel was titled Momish. We kind of came up with that together one night sitting on the couch. So now for this logo, I started off with kind of a generic symbol that I did find online, which is this messy bun kind of graphic. I went through and changed it up a little bit so that, you know, it wasn't a direct copy from what I did find online. But then I started playing with the text of this logo, and I really wanted to find something that was formal and easy to read and impactful, with a little bit of my wife's style as well. And she's very into the script style fonts and different things like that. We came up with the ... and we added the ish, as to say she's a mom-ish. I think using her style with the curly font at the end really contrasts the beginning. And then when I put this kind of platen behind it, tilted it a little bit and made it a little crazy, that's a representation of kind of her life and how it's not always perfect. So all that thrown together is where we came up with this, and I think it's a really strong piece of branding and a really interesting logo. all in all, this logo came out really well too and is great for the branding of this brand. All right, so that's gonna do it for this video today. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of what you saw, some of my past work. And I hope this made you guys realize that creating a logo, you know, isn't really all that hard for you guys to do for yourselves. I understand that not everybody might be able to actually physically make it happen, but conceptualizing is always something that any of us can do because it's always up here until we put it down on paper or in the computer. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you go like it now. Subscribe to the channel if you hadn't at the beginning of this video. And I will continue to bring you guys weekly content every Friday at 8 a.m. And again, we are talking everything creative from filmmaking, graphic design to photography. So I'll see you guys next week and stay tuned.